You want to dance in, Patty? In case you were asleep, now you're not. Thank you. If you will, please mute yourself. And if you have any questions, submit them via chat. After our speaker concludes today, we'll have plenty of opportunity for question and answer. If you'll bow your heads, and Mark Eldridge will join us or present the invocation.
All right, it's good to see everybody. We're gonna have a prayer. Since I'm home, I have my Anglican prayer book here. I'm gonna pray a prayer called "For Those Who Serve Others," which seems appropriate for Rotary. Let us pray. O Lord, our Heavenly Father, whose blessed Son came not to be served, but to serve, we ask you to bless all who, following in his steps, give themselves to the service of others, especially this Rotary Club of West Jacksonville. Endue us with wisdom, patience, and courage, that we may strengthen the weak and raise up those who fall, and being inspired by your love, may worthily serve the suffering, the friendless, and the needy. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mark. And Gigi, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Gigi. Mark Eldridge made a good point earlier that he was actually tasked with being a greeter today, and it's kind of hard on the Zoom. So hopefully everybody's enjoying the breakout rooms. We're trying to do that since we can't sit together at our tables. So thank you, Mark. I just wanted to remind you to check the calendar in DAC-DB, and anytime we have a in-person meeting or an event, you can go to DAC-DB to RSVP. And speaking of RSVPs, we have William to tell us about our event next Wednesday, March 17th.
Thank you, President Mary Pat. As she indicated, we're going to have a St. Patrick's Day celebration. Charlie Fetzer has been kind enough to open up his business to us. We're going to begin at 5:30. It will be in honor of St. Patrick's Day, so wear your green. Otherwise, get ready to be pinched. It'll be a lot of fun. It's going to be a good social. We'll have plenty of room to spread out and mix and mingle and be responsible, but also to enjoy the fellowship. It is very important to please RSVP, as Mary Pat said, and please know that your RSVP does include you and a guest. That's very important. And please try to RSVP by this weekend so we can get an appropriate head count for food and for drinks. And if you have any special requests, please feel free to reach out to me, but it'll be a great time next Wednesday, St. Patrick's Day at 5:30 at Charlie Fetzer's Bike Shop. All the details are on there. Please do RSVP for yourself and a guest. President Mary Pat, anything else on that?
Thank you, William. And don't worry, I'm bringing the green dye for the beer, so you don't have to worry about bringing your own.
Great. Thank you, President Mary Pat.
Can I get people raise your hands if you're planning to attend? Good. I see some hands up. Yay. It'll be so nice to see everybody. And bring a guest. They're welcome. And also in conjunction with the party on the 17th, we're going to collect diapers and the pins for the folks at Community Health Outreach. They have a children's ministry and a seniors ministry, and they're low on both of those items. So we'd like to collect diapers and depends. So if you could bring it to the party, we'll make sure that it gets delivered to CHO. And then through April, we're going to collect the same Diapers and Depends each week when we have our in-person meetings so that we can help them resupply. I think she said they gave out 17,000 packs of diapers in recent months, and their supplies are depleted. So that's one small way we can help. And we're trying to get a work day over at CHO for us to help deliver or hand out groceries. And Michael Prendergast and Michael Crumpler are both working on that. So thank you to them, and we'll be in touch when we have a date nailed down for them. Carter, did you have a pop-up?
No specific announcement, but we are going to be planning this spring a road cleanup and a river cleanup. And I think we had decided that we'd like to do the river cleanup and road cleanup in conjunction with each other. So if you don't go out on the boat, there would be plenty of area in the area where we did the river cleanup last time to walk around and pick up some garbage. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Should be coming up soon, or we'll have a date set soon.
Thank you, Carter. That'll be good. There'll be something for everybody. We had a great participation last time. When we did the river cleanup, we had folks with their families and their grandkids and kayakers and boaters. So there was a little bit, there was definitely a lot of trash. So the kayakers kind of stayed closer to the marina, and it was a good day. And with the road cleanup, I think we'll be able to spread our impact. Just to remind everybody, there is no meeting next week. We'll be having the party instead, but on the 24th, we'll be meeting on Zoom again. And then on March 31st, it will be in person. So if you can RSVP to Patty for March 31st, we'll make sure that we have a meal saved for you. In April, we will resume our normal first and third weeks in person, with the second and fourth in Zoom. And I just want to let you all know that we're very cognizant that everybody wants to get back to in-person meetings. And as soon as we get the okay from the CDC and from Rotary International to move in that direction, we will also be moving. But we're trying to exercise caution at the same time. So bear with us through April, and hopefully soon we'll be all together in person like we're used to. I wanted to also ask you to put May 1st on your calendar as a save the date. We're going to be having a family fun day out at Camp Chocotee, and which is the Boy Scouts base camp there on Doctors Lake Drive in Orange Park. So it's something we've never done before, but we're excited about it. They'll have target practice for us, skeet shooting, bows and arrows. We'll get to hike around. They'll have the kayaks and the canoes out. And we'd like to also roast some marshmallows. So we'll keep you updated on the details with that. Ike and I are going to be going out there on Saturday to meet with them and looking at some projects we can do with the Boy Scouts out there in the future. So May 1st. And then Lee Davis, are you on with us for a family of Rotary? I think William said she was in a closing. She may not have been able to get free from that. I don't see Lee on the call. Does anybody have an update they'd like to share with the club? Everybody's grooving along. I like it. I'll update you on my daughter, Grace. She's doing much better, so all the prayers are working, and I appreciate it. Dane, it's your turn.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, President Mary Pat. Once again, we are fortunate to host Pete Sellers, who's visiting us from the Mandarin Club. Looking forward to Pete becoming a regular member with us, hopefully very soon. Very brief report today, President Mary Pat. I think that about concludes it. Thank you.
Oh, dang, and you don't have a joke either?
We'll save that burden for in-person meetings, so.
Okay. It's harder for me to give you the hook, though, on Zoom.
Yeah, I'm going to have to really study it and find a good one for the 31st, so.
All right, that's a deal. We'll be waiting. It better be good, Dane.
Fingers crossed.
All right. If it's not good, 6 of your best friends are going to be carrying you out by the handles, just so you know. Ike, if you will, take it away with our introduction of our speaker.
Thank you, President Mary Pat. And remember, Dane, there's no effing broccoli. I've told that joke many, many times. So look forward to your next one. Okay. Our speaker today is Lindsey Brock. Lindsey is a member attorney in the Florida law firm McLeod Brock PLLC, practicing in maritime logistics, insurance, and commercial litigation. A proud Florida Gator, after his law degree, he obtained a master's of law degree in admiralty law from Tulane University. Lindsey served as the chair for Admiralty Law Committee of the Florida Bar and is president of the Propeller Club, Port of Jacksonville. He was also the founding president for the Jax Chamber Transportation and Logistics Council. Lindsey was an adjunct professor at Florida Coastal School of Law in Jacksonville, where he helped initiate the school's Master's of Law degree program in Logistics and Transportation Law, the first of its kind in the country. He has represented maritime, commercial, and transportation clients and their insurers, both domestically and internationally, throughout his 25-plus year career. Lindsey has been married to his wife, Carol, for 28 years. They have 2 children, Caitlin, who is working with faith-based missions groups overseas, and Connor, who is a member of the United States Coast Guard, currently serving in Galveston, Texas. Lindsey frequently lectures on maritime law topics across the country and has published various articles on maritime topics, as well as including the article co-written with his father on Captain John Berry and the last naval battle of the American Revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, Lindsey Brock.
All right, thank you very much, Ike. As they say, for that wonderful introduction. I couldn't have written it better myself. I am going to share my screen, and hopefully this will work. Explain to some people, I usually give this talk in person, and we do a little bit of audience participation. But in lieu of that, what I've tried to do is to gather some pictures, some paintings that relate to the battle and the people that were involved in it. And I want to kind of give you a little bit of the history of what led up to it, and why it's really, to me, one of the more fascinating events in the battle for our country's independence. So without any further ado, we should have it up. And what I'd like to start off with is the, I can figure out how to get it to play. Let me see here. There we go. So if you go to Cape Canaveral and you go to Port Canaveral, in there, you'll actually find this placard up there. They have a marker that's been dedicated regarding the last naval battle. It'll give you a little bit of the history there involved in it. The Sons of the American Revolution for Florida every year around this time hold a presentation and a ceremony commemorating the battle. That gentleman there in the colonial dress happens to be my father, who was the state and the national president of the Sons of the American Revolution a few years back. Again, if you go out there, you'll see they have a cannon that's actually cast from one that was found by Mel Fisher off the coast of Florida. That one isn't actually of the same age, but it's hopeful that we might find some, because as you'll hear later on, there are some cannon still laying out there. And this again is just the front there of it. So if you get the opportunity to go down there to Port Canaveral, there's also, I believe, a plaque now that they have with regards to Captain Barry in his role. So it's a neat place to just go and learn a little bit more about the history off our coast. So now let's set the stage. It's 1783. On March 10th, today, fledgling colonies have made a name for themselves. They're fighting against the largest empire with the strongest fighting force on land and sea that had ever been seen on the face of the earth. There's diplomatic missions that are going on in Europe trying to work out a peace between the colonies and Great Britain. And one of the neatest things is you actually had dynastic monarchies siding with the colonialists to overthrow a monarchy's rule on the people. As all of this is taking place, the government in Philadelphia is facing critical financial issues. Already, the Continental Army has mutinied in several areas, and shortly after this, you're going to see the officers of George Washington, they're in the Continental Army, actually got together and conceived a plan to march on Philadelphia and have him installed as the king. Now, it's only the example of the character and the leadership and integrity of Washington, because in his famous plea to his men, he asked what flaw in character that he had displayed that would ever make them think that he would agree to serve as king. And as he read his letter, the story goes that he reached into his coat and he pulled out his glasses. And if you look at this picture, you can see there the glasses of George Washington, which you don't often see pictures of him like this. But as the story goes, he gave a famous line that of all the things I've given in service to my country, my eyesight is the thing I miss the most. So this is what was setting all of this up at this time. Now, we have Captain John Barry. Captain John Barry is a very, very renowned sea captain. He went on to actually receive the first commission as a captain in the United States Navy as captain of the Alliance. Now, the Alliance was a stellar ship in the colonial Navy. She was fast. And at this time, he was returning from a diplomatic mission to France. Many people think he was returning Lafayette back in the time, but he's coming back from that. And he gets orders to sail to Havana, Cuba from this man, Robert Morris. Robert Morris, if you are a student of history, is often referred to as the financier of the American Revolution. He was appointed to serve as the superintendent of the continental government. And he had negotiated a loan of 72,000 Spanish milled dollars. It was Spanish specie that Barry had been given orders to sail down to Havana and pick up this load of silver. Well, as he goes along on his way, leaving from Philadelphia, heading down to Havana, he spots a few sails off the horizon, not able to tell what they are, really doesn't think he's got time to give chase, so he just keeps on making his way. Finally, he realizes there are actually British vessels that are patrolling the waters, and more than once he had to sail with the speed of the Alliance to avoid capture. Now, upon his arrival in Havana, Captain Barry found out that there was another vessel called the Duc de Luzon that was in port with identical orders from Robert Morris. Mr. Morris had earlier acquired the vessel in France and sent her under command of another guy named John Green. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find pictures of these guys, but Green was an old acquaintance of Captain Barry. So by the time Barry got there, Green had already loaded all of the 72,000 Spanish milled dollars onto the Duc de Luzon. So they decided that what would happen is that they would just convoy, the Alliance would convoy with the Duc de Luzon to secure the delivery there into Philadelphia. Now, what we know is that the vessels were delayed under what was referred to as secret orders here in the harbor of Havana. As would the secret orders were actually to allow the French and the Spanish fleets to join in force, and they were going to sail and try and make an assault on Jamaica. But when the embargo lifted and the Spanish fleet departed on March 6 of 1783, the captains joined with the Spanish fleet for a time, not knowing their ultimate destination. And then on March 7, they broke off from the Spanish fleet and started to make their way toward the Gulf of Florida. Now, the Alliance was clearly the faster of the two vessels. You can tell it's faster because if you look here, her sails are full and there's lots of wakes she's kicking up. No, it's she was, and as would ultimately be shown, Captain Barry was clearly the better captain as well. So as they're approaching the Great Bahama Bank, they spot two sails to the southeast. Captain Barry slows his vessel to allow Captain Green to catch up within hailing distance, and the two discuss the sails, as well as what their response would be. Captain Green favored a run to the north, but Barry realized that that would give the advantage to the enemy to sail upon a short angle with the wind and be able to give chase. He began to question the seamanship of Captain Green at this point. So Barry recommends instead that they do a southwest course to lure the ships back towards the Spanish fleet. This is what they chose. And when the British ships actually caught sight, when the British ships caught sight of the Spanish fleet, they broke off their chase. So now we have the Alliance and the Duc de Luzon. They're still inside of the Spanish fleet. It's now March 8. They break off from that group and they start heading back along the coast of Florida. According to the logs from the voyage, Captain Barry is constantly having to slow his ship to allow the Duc de Luzon to catch up to him. Finally, on March 9, the captains have what was referred to as a consultation that lasted for about 4 hours and apparently got rather loud. At its end, much to the dislike of Captain Green, they agreed to move the great majority of the specie from the Duc de Luzon to the Alliance. Now, by this time, the vessels are somewhere there in the Gulf of Florida, between Florida and the Bahamas, off the coast of what would now be known as Fort Pierce. They finished the transfer, and now the voyage begins back up. Okay, during this time, the two British ships that had given chase, the Alarm, which was a 32-gun frigate, and that's this one here in the upper left-hand corner, commanded by Captain Charles Cotton, and the Sybil, which is this one here. There's other vessels in there, but the Sybil is this one here to the far right, the larger one there. She's a 28-gun frigate. She's captained by Captain James Vachon. Well, they meet up with a sloop of war, British sloop of war called the Tobago. She had 18 guns, and she was captained by a gentleman by the name of George Martin. These three British ships, just south of Cape Canaveral, began cruising southward, spotted the American ships, and they start to give chase. Well, Captain Barry, he spots the British ships on the morning of March 10, and also noticed another sail off to his southwest. That's going to be an important fact. He sees that other vessel, but it tacks away from him, so he decides, well, it's not much concern. So his focus is now on the three British vessels that are rapidly descending on them. The decision was made again to make for the Spanish fleet, and the American vessels changed course to the southwest. As usual, Captain Green is lagging far behind, with the Duc de Luzon some 2 miles behind. She then signaled that the pursuing ships were British frigates, vessels of superior force. Well, Captain Barry, knowing he had the majority of the specie on his vessel, decided to place the safety of his vessel and cargo as paramount. He then gives the signal for each to, quote, shift for herself, and he unfurls the Continental Navy Jack. All right, so here is a diagram of how the battle unfolds in here. You look here at the top, and hopefully everybody can see this. We've got the wind off here. This is where we're talking about 11:30. We're not actually up to this point yet, because what happens is the gap between the American vessels begins to widen. Captain Green signals to Captain Barry that he wants to speak with him. It's a very risky proposition because the Alarm is getting very, very close. You can see here in this one where the alarm was ahead of the other two British vessels. So he lowers his sails to slow his ship, and he notes that the alarm does likewise, which in turn allows the other two British vessels to get in closer. Now, when the two American ships come abreast of each other, Captain Barry actually is a little shocked, because what Captain Green says is that, oh, I think these are only privateers and we can take them. Well, Captain Barry realizes that there's something else going on with Captain Green, and he's beginning to wonder, does he have some other private cargo or something on there that he's placing a little bit higher risk that might be clouding his judgment? Because it was clear to him that Alliance, as the superior, the faster vessel with more guns, he was willing to sacrifice it so that he could get away. Well, at this point, Barry just bites his tongue and he says, no, I disagree with your assessment. And he points out that they're clearly frigates and that the closest one descending on them has 32 guns. He tells Captain Green, you're too slow, you're too heavy, you have to throw your cannons overboard to lighten his ship. So that's done. They get rid of all of the cannon on the port and starboard side, leaving only their stern guns with which to fire back at the enemy. This goes on, but again, Captain Green makes some really bad decisions. Rather than making the prudent maneuver to port, which where he was there that would have given him more wind, he continues on a southwesterly course, and as a result, the ships are rapidly closing. And here is where you can see you've got the Alliance, these vessels, Barry, here in the second part in the middle, you can see that the Alliance has slowed down. The HMS Tobago and the Alarm have come in there, but as you're going to hear, they break off from the fight. But the Sybil is coming down on the Duc de Luzon, and the Alliance is in a position to make an important decision. As he sees this happening, Captain Barry, he makes the decision that he cannot abandon the Duc de Luzon. So he considers the possibility of saving her and his own vessels. He's got limited options. He again sees that lone sail off to the southwest. It's now turned towards them to be coming towards where the fight's happening. Captain Barry saw the British frigate Alarm break off from the pursuit of the Duc de Luzon and guessed that the ship to his southwest was either Spanish or French, given what the advantage of the Alarm was to see that. So at this point, he makes a bold move. Here, and this one at the very bottom, what happens is from this position of being abreast of the Sybil, Captain Barry deliberately turns his vessel in towards the Sybil, causing her to break off her pursuit more abruptly than she wanted to, places his vessel in between the Sybil and the Duc de Luzon, allowing the Duc de Luzon to continue with the wind and being able to steal the wind to be able to get further and further away from the fray. So he turns and he realizes, I'm not going to have to fight all three of them because the other two have broken off. He gives orders to raise sail, turns hard to starboard. His decision was deliberately place his vessel in between the Duc de Luzon and the Sybil. The Sybil continues firing her cannon. The Alliance actually took several shots, one of which smashed through the captain's cabin, killing the master's mate and wounding several others. Captain Barry, and this is where it really gets neat to me. If any of you ever saw the movie Master and Commander with Russell Crowe down there, beneath there on the gun deck, telling his men to hold fire, hold fire. Well, I like to think that that actually came from this moment in history, because Captain Barry left the quarterdeck and personally walked down to the gun deck from cannon to cannon, encouraging his men, cautioning them, do not fire until he gave the order himself. He wanted to lure the enemy in as close as possible. And for the logs and the records we have, it's talking about half a pistol range. Now, these are musket pistols. So we're talking about close in, closer than 25 yards in, that he is wanting to get this vessel in. And the Alliance, during this process, even took a full broadside from the Sybil, but still did not fire his cannon. Well, the discipline of the crew paid off, because right after that broadside, Captain Barry gave the vessel the orders to fire, and she unleashed the full fury of one side of all of the cannon onto the Sybil. And after about 40 minutes of close fighting, the British guns went silent. She lost 2 sails. Some reports say that she was partially demasted, had considerable damage to her hull, and reports conflict, but supposedly she raised distress flags to the other British vessels which had not joined in the fight, due to what we now know was in fact the French ship, the Triton, on the horizon. The casualties aboard the Sybil were reported to range up to 37 killed, 40 wounded, but in any event, after 40 minutes of close fighting, the Sybil broke off the fight and fled back to the other vessels. Well, there's the Triton in there. Captain Barry, knowing that he had saved the Duc de Luzon, as well as the Alliance, did not give immediate chase. Instead, he asked the French captain why he hadn't come into their help a little bit sooner. And the captain said, well, I thought you all were just, privateers or something trying to draw me in and capture my vessel. Well, at that point, the 3 vessels get together and they give chase for the British, but after about 8 to 10 hours, they lose sight of the ships in the dark. And as the vessels regrouped back in there, Captain Barry was met rather coolly by Captain Green, and after somewhat heated discussions, Captain Green eventually agreed to transfer the remaining Spanish dollars to the hold of the Alliance, and at noon on March 11, 1783, the ships continued on their journey northward without any other encounters. By March 18th, the Duc de Luzon became separated from the Alliance off the coast of Hatteras. This actually proved out to be fortuitous, because as the fog lifted the next morning, Captain Barry spotted 2 British ships off the Delaware Capes, who immediately gave chase. Well, the speed of his vessel saved him again, but more importantly, it drew the vessels northward and allowed the Duc de Luzon to safely sail into Philadelphia. The next day, March 20th, the Alliance sailed into the port of Newport, Rhode Island, abandoning the plan to return to Philadelphia, given the strong British presence. And it was shortly thereafter, on February 3rd, a few days later, actually, they learned that on February 3rd, the peace treaty between Great Britain and the colonies had actually been ratified, and that the war for independence was over. So even though the peace treaty had been signed in February, they didn't have Twitter or cell phones or anything like that to get the word out there. So the last naval battle of the American Revolution actually happened a month and a week after the peace treaty had been signed. And that is the story of the last naval battle that was fought and won off the coast of Florida. And with that, let me see if I can stop my share. And that is the end.
Thank you.
I could see the round of applause.
Yeah. Can you hear it? Thank you, Lindsey. That was fascinating. Do we have questions for Lindsey? We can take them from the floor if you'd like. I don't see any in the chat. Not even Phil Voss has a question today.
Lindsey, I know that you've written articles about this, potentially a book or something on the History Channel or something like that.
Well, my father and I, we did write a 2-part article that was published in the SAR magazine that goes into a little more depth into the what led up to the battle in there, because really this was, but for this money reaching Philadelphia and reaching the government, because it was what was used to pay the Continental Army, because they had been serving for months and months and months without pay. And it was just the leadership of men like Washington and his other generals that kept everyone together. They did, you know, you can read your history, and they did put down some mutinies rather abruptly, that in today's Moors would be viewed at with some disdain, but it was a different time, and men of different metal back then.
Lindsey is Stu.
Yeah.
Did Captain Green actually have a cargo he was hiding, or was it just?
You know, there's rumors that he was, you know, carrying some personal cargo, some things for hire in there, but you know, that's one of those kind of mysteries that's been lost in history, that would probably make for a good fiction documentary to explain some of that. I think personally he was just a bad captain.
Probably Cuban cigars.
That's it. That's it. He was trying to get in some Cuban cigars.
Do we have anybody else?
I'll bounce one more off. Have they ever found the cannon that came off of Captain Green ship?
No, I was rather intrigued, just because I represent some treasure salvers that do it for a living. And gosh, I guess it was 2, maybe 3 years ago that they found some cannon off around in that general area that were a French make, but they were much earlier. But I was hopeful that somehow those might be found. It's a lot easier to find the iron cannons than it is the bronze and those, because that iron, which is one of the ways that they would find the treasure boats down in the Keys, is that iron will leach out into the ocean floor and kill the seagrass. So when the folks are doing the treasure hunting down in the Keys, and they'll sit there and they'll find a spot of seagrass where there's no seagrass growing, and that's where they would start to look to see if they could find a cannon or an anchor or something like that.
Lindsey, what became of the 2 vessels?
Well, shortly after this, the Duc de Luzon was taken back to France, and it was sold the next year. The Alliance remained in service, and it has been the name of a Navy ship up to current day. There's been a USS Alliance in there. The original ship, I believe she was retired. I'm trying to remember, she sank. I'm not up on her final demise in through there, but there has been a USS Alliance in service in the United States Navy ever since.
That's interesting.
Because Barry, they were originally going to build 13 ships, and while a lot of people say, you know, that John Paul Jones, you know, was the father of the American Navy, well, it was Captain John Barry that actually oversaw the construction of those first ships. There were originally supposed to be 13, but it was Barry who oversaw the construction and the outfitting of the ships that went into the Continental Navy.
That's really fascinating. It's something that I didn't know anything about that. So it was really, really interesting to me today, and I hope everybody else felt the same way. Thank you for being with us, and Ike, thank you for bringing Lindsey to us.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Especially on the anniversary, right?
Yeah, today's the day.
Fortuitous timing. I just wanted to remind everybody that there will be no lunch next week, and please RSVP. We have a great menu. Noni's will be doing the catering, and so we'll have different kinds of sliders and an interesting menu I think you'll enjoy. including Jameson meatballs. And she'll have a bar, and please bring a guest. The party's at Charlie Fetzer's at Lakeshore Bicycle. And on March 24th, we'll be back on Zoom, and our speaker is Dr. Justin DiRenzo. He's a Jacksonville psychologist. He's had some interesting investigations regarding serial killers and things like that, but I think he's going to be talking to us about relationship building. So that should be interesting for all of us, mostly me. I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon, and thank you for being with us today. We had Jeff Collins on the schedule for the 4-way test, but I don't see him on the call. Joe Eberly, you're on the hot seat. Can you lead us in the 4-way test?
Certainly. Repeat with me the 4-way test. First,
Is it
Is it the truth?
second, is it
Fair to all
all
concerned?
Concerned.
Third, will it build goodwill?
Will
and
build goodwill and better friendships.
fourth, will it be beneficial?
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you, Joe, especially on the hot seat. Thanks, everybody, for being with us today, and I'll see you next Wednesday at the party. Thank you, Lindsay.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Bye, everybody. Stay well.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, Larry.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye all.
Bye, Alton.
Bye, Mr. Yates.
All right, Patty, that's a wrap.
I think it is.
All right.
Okay. Bye, Mr. Corrigan. See y'all next time on the 24th. Or yeah, on the 24th, right? Can't hear you. Oh, there he is. Nope, can't hear you.
Hear me now?
Nope, hear you now. Yep.
Okay.
Very good.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, that was very
Okay.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. That was really interesting. I hate
Yeah.
my ignorance, but I didn't know anything about that.
I love history. So yeah, anytime somebody starts talking about history, I'm like, oh, I love just hearing it.
I didn't know that battle, the
Not
last
me
battle
either.
was
No, me either. Mm-mm.
good. I don't feel so bad.
Oh no, don't feel bad. My goodness, ever anyway. Okay.
All right.
If you need,
Well, have a good day.
okay, you too. The camp, May 1st is on the calendar too. So people
Thank
can
you.
RSVP there too.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So you might tell them that next week at the, if I don't know if you're going to do like a little talk at the beginning or just welcome everybody or what.
Okay. Yeah, we'll know more when we meet with them. So that's a good idea, Patty.
Yeah, and then just say, but it's on the calendar. So if you want to give me more details after you meet with them, I can add those too.
And we could do the old-fashioned sign-ins, like at the table. We could have a sheet for the next meal, the community health outreach. Hopefully by then we'll have a date. And then we could do the May 1st thing, just to have something.
Okay.
You know,
I'll create a sign-up sheet and put the 3 dates and let people write their name, and then they can check which ones they're going to attend.
Yeah, that'll
Is that all right?
feel normal,
Okay. I'll do it.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Patty.
Okay, Mary Pat. See you later.
All right. Thanks for hosting last night too.
Oh, happy to do it. Sure, of course.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, one more thing.
Yeah.
Did you want me to order those retractable banners? Are you still looking at them?
You know what? I have it pulled up on my laptop, but I hadn't,
Okay, it doesn't take long to get them. Don't worry. I'm just trying to like revisit all the stuff that's sort of hanging out there just to keep everybody going.
yeah, I mean, yeah, let's do it. If we need them, there's no reason not to.
Okay. I'm not sure. Which ones do you want?
Just to replace the broken ones.
Okay, I'll take a look next time we're at Timaquana, and Stu can tell me which ones are broken, which ones aren't working, and I'll reorder those.
Did they give us a storage unit or a closet?
They take our stuff and put it away for us. So we
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we don't know. I mean, I don't know how much storage space we have, or if stuff just gets thrown in there, or what happens. So.
Okay, but you have like an inventory of it, what they have?
They have the badge box, the bell, and they have a box that they bring out along with the badge box, and then they bring out the banners in their zipper cases.
Oh, good. And they're labeled and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay,
It's a wrap. Oh, I need to see if Wayne Wood's interested still.
In speaking, or?
Yeah, get him in June.
Okay, if Ike has it filled up, he could use help with his, getting started. He doesn't want to throw Sean into like, okay, I need programs right now, so he's working on trying to fill up July and August.
Oh, okay.
To help her. So if Wayne's
ask
not
him.
available, see if he can do July or August date.
Will you send me those dates, and then I can, when I email him, I'll say, are you available on any of these dates?
Okay. Okay.
All right. Because are we assuming that we'll be back to at least three meetings a week in August?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That was the general consensus last night. Everybody wanted 3.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. See you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.